spending in each category. Be sure to enter all of your expenditures only once. Then look at how your spending compares against the suggested percentages in My Spending. Click Update Profile to adjust your spending and develop a zero-based plan that is flexible and realistic for your family. We're going to talk about that. So it tells you exactly what to do. But now look at this. If I go over here to these arrows, I pull this arrow down, here's all the categories that are in the profile. So let's go to Setup. You can also get to it by hitting these tabs up here. So the first tab here says Personal Data. And this is where your name, your birth date, your address, 222 Debt-Free Lane, Financial Freedom, Colorado, 80897. You're going to retire. This says 65 years old. All that information needs to be put in there. You say, well, I don't know. Put something in there. Decide something and put it in there. You go to the next thing. This is the Cash tab. So this tells you how much cash on hand you have. This is the cash you got under the mattress. Checking accounts, what your balance is. Savings accounts, what your balance is. Emergency account, what your balance is. Any certificates of deposit, total cash. So see, what we're doing is we're gathering your information and establishing what your assets are. Because this software, look right over here, it displays your net worth all the time. Constantly. There's your assets, there's your liabilities, there's your net worth. You say, that don't mean anything to me. It may not mean a lot to you. It means everything to anybody you're going to do business with. Your banker's real interested in it. Now, receivables, this is if anybody owes you money, it goes in here. Tax refund coming, it goes in here. Money owed to you, note receivable. If you got a loan out to somebody. Most of the time, you're the borrower and not the borrowee. Securities, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Retirement, real estate. There's where you put how much your house, you put what your house is worth in here. Your home, real estate owned. Any other real estate you put right there. It's just real estate. So you have another place for stocks and bonds and so on. Here's where you put your debt. Look at this family. JCPenney's their smallest one at $850, and there's their house at $112,000. They got 2 cars, 2 MasterCards, a Visa, and JCPenney's. They're doing well, aren't they? They got a lot of debt. This is where you put it in. You hit the Add Debt button right over here on the right. You hit Add Debt right here, and then it'll come up. Let me show you what it does. You hit Add Debt. It comes up with a panel, and you got to put your new debt in there. Your debt name goes right here. The type of debt, you pull this down, and there's types of debt there that you mark. Here's your current balance. Here's your annual interest rate. Here's your minimum payment. You'll have to go, look guys, you understand, to do this, it's going to take a little work. You got to go pull your stuff out of the drawer. You got to go get all your stuff, bring it into the table or your office or whatever you've got. Take the time to do this. Let me tell you something. You take 2 or 3 hours to do this, it's well worth it. Well worth it. Okay, that's what you do to add a new debt. I've already got all these debts put in here. You see here, here's the minimum payment. Here's the interest rates over here on the right. Here's the balances. There's the debt type it is, and then who the debt is to. Going up here to our tabs, here's our income. Your salary, interest or dividends, any other. Here's your tithes, here's your taxes. You say, well, I don't know what that is. Take your check stub, your paycheck, and look at what it is. If you also notice over here on the right, it has frequency. So if you get paid 2 times a month, you look at your back of your paycheck, and it says my taxes are $655, and you get paid twice a month, and you're going to put the frequency right over here. This particular one, this guy gets paid 1 time a month, so there's 12 times a year he gets paid. If you get paid twice a month, there's 26 times a year you get paid. So you have to put the frequency right over here, depending upon how you get your income. You say, well, my income's all over the map. Do an average. If you make $3,000 this month and $6,000 next month and $2,000 the next month, look, don't do this. Do this. Do it over an average. Here's your automobiles. And this is not your auto payment. Remember, any debt goes in the debt column. This is just what it costs you to keep your car. Insurance, fuel, license and taxes, and service. That's what those, and the frequency goes right over here. Notice here on license and taxes, it's 1 time a year. But on services, there's 8 times a year. Now, food, how much you spend in groceries, how much you spend dining out, so on. We're telling it. Here's what you're telling the software. This is my spending plan. This is what I'm going to do. Okay? Now let me just tell you a secret. You're committing to that. The software will hold you accountable. I'll show you how. You tell the software, this is what we're going to spend on these items. That's why, listen, you got to get out all your Walmart receipts. And then after you get up off of the floor from fainting, you can decide what you're going to spend at Walmart. If I'd have known what my wife was going to spend at Walmart, I'd have bought a lot more stock in the 70s. Dear God in heaven, what is Walmart? They got something going. Your housing, here's your taxes. Remember, it's not your house payment. That's a debt. It's a mortgage. It's in the debt column. Here is what it costs you to maintain your house. Utilities, insurance, taxes, and so on. Maintenance, household supplies, clothing. If you can find a category that we don't have covered here, you call me. Health and personal care, insurance, school and child care, entertainment, and so on. Until you get all the way out here at the end, retirement and savings. How much is going into your retirement, your emergency, your savings, gifts given, birthday gifts, holiday gifts, Christmas gifts, and so on. Everything you spend money on, guys. Let me just tell you, here's how serious I want you to be about it. If you go to the convenience store and you walk in there and buy $3 worth of junk, well, good, that's usually good. You go in there and buy that stuff. When you come back to the car, bring your cash receipt and put it in your ashtray. You're not using the ashtray for anything else. Just put it in the ashtray, and then take those out about once a week and go in and post them in the software. Keep track of your cash, keep track of your checks, keep track of your debit card, keep track of your credit card. Keep track of your credit card by going and seeing if it's still in the trash where you threw it. All right. Once we get our profile done, we get this profile done, and we've told the software all the information it needs now to do some really magical things. Now watch this. Here's my spending plan. I'd already gone in this software and told it what we were going to spend. Here's my auto spending a month. That's fuel and everything, $277.92. Housing, utilities, these are the same categories that are in your profile. So you've told it what you're going to spend, and here they show up in your spending plan. Here's my gross earnings. Here's my tithes. Here's my taxes. Here's my EAT. We call it EAT income. Earnings after tithes and taxes. EAT. It's what you got left to eat. Okay? $5,050. And then look down here. Our total spending is $49.34. Now watch this. I go up here and I say suggested spending. Push the button. Look what it does. We did research, went to the government and other agencies, and found out what should people spend in these categories that's reasonable. The average family, this is a family of 4. So if you're 2 instead of 4, you got to make a little adjustment. If you're 6 instead of 4, you have to make some adjustment. You got to find out what it is your spending levels should be. Now watch this. Here it tells us what percentage of our expenditure, our EAT income, are we using to keep our automobile going. We're using 6% of our money. The suggested is 5%. So if you look over here, we're $25.42 more than we should be, and it's in red. See, what happens is, here's what we're doing, here's what we ought to do. We're doing 6%, we ought to be doing 5%. Instead of 277, it ought to be 252. There's the difference, and it's in red. Here's one, housing, we spent 302, it's 6%. We're supposed to do it at 7%, so we got a little money left. We got $51.50 left. These are suggested spending guidelines, okay? Now, once you do that, you can take a look at your spending plan in a pie chart. Tells you, who wants to guess what 39% is? Walmart. Debt. And then one little neat thing you can do is you can come right down here in the left corner, right down here, see suggested spending. You hit that block, and it gives you the pie chart for what it should be. Here's a pie chart for what it is. Here's what it should be. What it is, what it should be. Y'all like that? So you're a funny guy. All right, that's the way my spending block works. Now watch this. This is called a spend tracker. This is where the software holds you accountable. As long, see the same categories, income, tithes, taxes, auto, food, housing, utilities, clothing, and so on. All your categories are there that you spend money on. Watch this. As long as it's yellow, you're under what you told the software you were going to spend that month. But if it's turned red, You've spent over. It's like green light, yellow light, red light. Yellow is caution, red is stop spending, and green is you still got some money to spend. Now green, it applies to the income, your savings and income, the things that where money comes in. So if you bring in more money than you told the software you were going to bring in, it turns green. So you can see where your excess cash is. So that you can just open that panel, and with a glance you can see, well, what are those two categories on red? Household supplies and insurance. You know exactly where you've overspent. Now, how do we know that? This is the check register. The entries from this module will automatically track your monthly expenses in the spend tracker. The spend tracker, where we had the yellow and the red, the one we just looked at, okay? How does that happen? How does it know to do that? Because you've put what you've actually spent, you've put in the check register. So what you do is you add an item right here. You put the payee in there. Let's say it's JCPenney. You write JCPenney a check. The date's 11/7/2001. The category is debt because it's JCPenney's credit card you're paying. And it's a payment, not a deposit. If it was a paycheck, you'd check deposit here. And if it's going to JCPenney to pay on the credit card, it's a payment. It keeps track of it down here, and then so it uses this information to update the spend tracker. So what's important about this software? That you put everything you spend into it. Checks, debit card transactions, cash spending, all of it. Let me tell you something. You know what it takes? If you do this right, it takes you about 15, 20 minutes a week to keep it updated. I've checked all this out with the people who are using it. Doesn't take. Once you get your profile set up and the information's all in there, it goes quickly. All right. There's the check register. Everybody so far understand kind of what we're supposed to do? Isn't this simple? You can do it. You can absolutely do it. The debt tracker. This tracks just the debts. JCPenney, Visa, MasterCard, and so on. Here's what it does. It tells you the balance, the monthly payment, the percentage of the debt, the interest rate, and the percent of the payment of your income. We're paying 43.3% of our income on our mortgage. That's what that tells us. Okay? Now down here, it tells us our total debt. This is how much we owe totally. Here's our monthly payments that we're making on that debt, and here's our total monthly income right here. See this over here, debt to income ratio? This measures the percentage of income that is paid to debt. A lower number is better. 40% or lower is recommended for debt. The U.S. government puts out a thing that says you should not spend more than 40% of your income on debt. You know what? I don't even agree with that. Not even close. That's way too high. But they have to take the whole nation into consideration. This ratio of the family we put in here is 30%. That's what that number is right there. So it's 10% below what they recommend. It's still about 20% over what I recommend. So that gives you that information in the debt tracker. Now, going down, this is the one you're going to like. Debt Eliminator. Now watch this. Here's all of our debts, smallest to greatest. JCPenney to the mortgage. Here's your balance. Here's your interest. Here's your minimum payment. Here's your fast track fund. Here's the number of months it's going to take you to pay it off, and here's the date it'll be paid off. What else would you want? Now watch this. Up here at the top is the start date we're going to get out of date. Let me tell you